everybody, and welcome to Monday Night Astrology with the Academy of Logic and Light. I am Megan. I have Julie with us as well as Elle, and we are so excited to be sharing with you today all about the chart ruler, which is one of my favorite topics because it just shows like the next level of how of how different we all are. Like you might have the same rising sign, but if your Mars is in a different house, anyway, we'll get there.
Take the show, Megan. This floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm like, oh, okay, who needs introductions? Let me tell you.
I got this.
Yeah, perfect. Well, so we are a community educational platform that provides a safe space for people to practice their spirituality without indoctrination. So join us. We have monthly meetups in person, and we are going to be having monthly full moon meetups. We don't have our sign up working just yet, but that is next week on the 25th. And on the 21st, we're doing a vision board meetup in person. So if you're in the Salt Lake Valley, come join us. It'll be so fun. And then we are on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We should even be live on Instagram. So if anyone wants to let me know if we are.
Let me know if it works.
Yeah. And then we also have a Patreon. So if you like what you see and you want to support us, we recently kind of changed up our Patreon. Just if it's worth it, or you can just share this or like it, like comments, those kinds of things are all very helpful in us continuing the work that we're doing. And if you're interested in teaching with us, just reach out on social media. Also, if you follow in our link tree below, you can find a form to sign up to be a teacher. It asks a few questions there. And yeah, let us know if you're interested in, hanging out, partnering with us on social media or YouTube videos, classes, things like that. So, all right. Well, without further ado, I'll turn the time over to Julie and Elle. Okay, thanks, guys.
Yay.
Hello. Wait, is there no intro? The whole intro thing is throwing me off.
Hold on. We got this.
I mean,
we have it.
I'm not
ready.
This time, so that's better.
5, 4, 3.
I like that you did it on 3. Like, just 3.
I'm not gonna lie. I am not sober. I'm doing the best I can.
The best. I love to be a little tipsy. I mean, it's been a really long time. I don't think I've been tipsy since we did the After Dark one, but it's fun. It makes it fun and light and silly. And
yeah,
you're in Mexico. You should not be sober. So.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a little bit bougie. I saw that my chart ruler was a Leo, and the sun rules everything, and this is what I want to do.
I'm the queen of the earth. Hear me roar.
Yes, exactly. My friends were like, "Oh, should we split a room by 3?" And I was like, "I think I'm going to get my own room, and I'll let y'all know."
Sort your lives out. I'm not the one today.
Yeah. So I just ran from downstairs to here with a margarita in hand in a wet bikini and threw on robes.
I love it. Hey.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm here for it. It's great. Great. I wish I was in Mexico. You know how cold it is here? I'm here in Utah.
I know.
And
everyone here is from Canada and Seattle.
Not it at all. It is super cold, and Oklahoma is even like -4 degrees. I'm like, what's going on, you guys?
Yeah, I am so grateful I left the United States to come down here.
Perfect.
It is 80 degrees.
That's so nice. I'm jealous.
Yeah,
that's awesome. These are great.
All right, well, we've made it. I can't believe I literally just made these, so I apologize if they are not correct, but the resources are at the end, so they're not my resources.
They're not correct. They're not Julie's. They're not Julie's.
Yeah, I don't take responsibility.
Well, and so today we are really going to be reiterating what we spoke about last week. I know there were a lot of people who We kind of went into like the ascendant and, the chart ruler a little bit. We were talking about what it's like to have your ascendant and the different signs and kind of how you show up to the party. But we touched on the chart ruler. I didn't go super into it. And I feel like so many people had questions like, wait, what does this mean? Like the theme of my life, like I want to know more about this. So we kind of are doing a recap. And as we go, we're going to be doing house rulers. And so the chart ruler ultimately rules the first house. It's your ascendant. It's the planet that rules it. So it's kind of a great segue into the houses and their rulers. And it's going to be, those are going to be lengthy because any sign can rule any house, but some of them are more significant. Whether you have a house full of planets or you have a completely empty house, I mean, it tells a lot. It says a lot. So we're just going to start in house 1, which, your ascendant always rules your first house. And that is your, chart ruler is based off of your ascendant. Sorry. It is based off the ascendant, but the planet is what I meant. The planet is what it's based off of. So we're just going to start with Aries and we're going to go through. And I'm not going to go through every single house that it could be. Like, I'm not going to say, okay, if you're an Aries ascendant and Mars is in the first house, this is what this means. We're not going to like spend hours kind of talking about that. But I am going to really hit on some points that are very specific and some that are magnify kind of the effect of the sign. So I don't know. Do we have slides for all this or we're just kind of talking today, right?
No, I've made slides. I don't know if they're good or not.
Like I can do that. It's fine.
But I made them. I kind of went in. So again, I have not even posted these on Etsy or anything. This is like brand new information. So bear with us. Here's how to find your chart ruler, which Elle is going to give us more detailed. We've got quotes. And then we've got, here's your cheat sheet. So obviously here's each planet that rules each sign and a quick cheat sheet. And also on our Facebook and TikTok, you can find the whole long cheat sheet for all of this.
All of them. You can find all the cheat sheets. I'm like, speaking of cheat sheets, I have notes. I mustn't forget about my notes.
Yeah. And then, so I think
old granny with her paper,
I have 16 slides that I made from the Oblivion.
And
so this is from the internet.
All right. So we're just going to jump right into it. So
yeah,
if your chart or if your ascendant is in Aries, your rising is in Aries, whatever you call it for you, your chart ruler is Mars. So Mars being the planet of fire and like excitement, and it's very active. It's very fiery. There's a lot of activity going on with Mars. So, some of the houses this is going to be magnified is if you're an Aries rising and your Mars is in your first house. This is huge. If you find that your Mars, and it can be, obviously you're, if it's in the first house. Well, I mean, it could technically be a Taurus Mars. If it's in the first house, it could have that little changeover depending on which, which house system you use in astrology. But typically you're an Aries Mars and your ascendant is in Mars or is in Aries. It's very powerful. Them very, very close magnify the effects of Aries. It magnifies that you're probably a very fiery person. You're probably a very active person. You're probably very, very aware of yourself in a sense of like physical health, maybe some mental health, but probably more of a physical, which I think that kind of goes hand in hand, right? Like if you're physically, healthy, I think a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times your mental health kind of follows, suit to that. So if you have an Aries rising and your Mars is in Aries in the first house, or even Taurus, it still gives it a huge significance. Like if say you have a Taurus Mars and it's maybe 20 something degrees or 29 degrees, you may have really been a real go-getter and during this lifetime in like possessions, self-worth. You may feel really good about yourself. You may be just amazing with finances, amazing with self-control, amazing with like all of the qualities that Taurus possesses. So it gives you kind of a different flavor. It's like, okay, your chart ruler is Mars and it's in the first house of, which starts to be Aries, but say if it's in Taurus, it just gives you like a little bit of a different flavor. Whereas if it's all Aries and your Mars is in Aries, it just makes you more fiery, more energy, like more feisty, and due diligence of things. You pay attention, you're focused, and I would say physical health is huge here. So that's a really big one. So if Aries,
so when you're, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just going to clarify for the people watching. So when you're looking at your birth chart, your rising sign, it's literally going into the first house, right? Like, is there anything else that people need to like look for or anything like that?
Yes. So sometimes when you have your ascendant, which is Aries, and you have your Mars on the complete opposite, say in the 7th house, and say your Mars, I mean, obviously it's very likely that your Mars is going to be Libra, right? Because if you look at any astrology chart and it starts at, like, say Aries, 2nd house is most likely going to be Taurus, Gemini, 3rd house. It follows exactly how it aligns in astrology. So not always you can have a planet that, or a sign that intercepts and it doesn't even touch either house cusp. It may be just right in the middle. It doesn't happen all the time. I actually have one in my chart. Pisces and Virgo don't touch a single, they're not a house ruler at all in my chart because they don't touch the cusp. I have a Taurus in the 6th and 5th house, and then I have Scorpio in the 11th and the 12th house. And that was probably really Spanish. It's a lot of thinking if you thought about that. But sometimes you don't always have a house that starts with the next sign. Sometimes the same sign can rule 2 houses. So in the piece of the pie, you have the outer signs. Sometimes you'll have a sign that will go over your 5th house and your 6th house. Maybe not a lot. It might be a smidge, but it's still there. So typically, if you have a rising in Aries and your Mars is in the 7th house, most likely it's Libra. It could be Virgo. It could be Scorpio, depending on where it's at in that house. If it is Libra, it is the complete opposite. So you think about it, like, I'm trying to like help bring understanding and not just like giving you the answers, but like helping everyone sit and think about, like, okay, you're rising, your chart ruler is your direction of your life. Yours is an Aries, very fiery, get things done. But should your Mars be in a house of the opposite of that, which is Libra, 7th house, you're going to look at relationships differently. You're going to partnerships, contracts, things of that are going to be a huge focus in your life, and they're going to be the most important thing in what you find yourself kind of navigating towards more than anything. And it being in the complete opposite of your rising, Aries being your rising, Libra being your Mars, sometimes that can cause conflict. Sometimes on how you see things and how you get things done don't align. Aries is very active. They're very fast. They're very there's not a lot of tact there sometimes. They say what's on their mind. They pride themselves in being very direct, whereas Libra is more passive and doesn't want to upset anyone and kind of tiptoes. So you can imagine those two energies coming together of someone who's very aggressive and someone who's so passive. Like, how does that even work? Well, when you get into really heavy astrology, you're going to see how the other placements aspect that, and you're also going to see the degrees and how it affects it. And you're going to be like, oh, okay, that's why Libra's, more shown here because of the degrees and the aspects. It makes it shine brighter versus, it could be Aries. So those are the 2 houses. The house that the planet rolls naturally, and the opposite are going to be the 2 big things here, because those are where it's going to be the loudest. So that is all I have for an Aries chart ruler.
Thank you.
And figuring out your chart ruler.
Chart ruler. We've got Ellen over here, who is 823. That is a Leo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is
no.
Well, it's actually, he's a cusp, but I think the 22nd is Leo, and I think the 23rd is Virgo.
Yeah, it's like close for sure.
Years. It changes years. Let me see. I think it's actually Leo now that I say that. So this says Virgo. August 23rd. That's August 23rd to September 22nd. So Virgo, but which is better.
Which is better.
You know how we feel about Leo, so I think you're safe on the Virgo side.
No. I mean, I think I'd rather be a Virgo than a Leo, but with underlying things if I could still have fun.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you want to accomplish in life. It depends on what your chart ruler is.
Yeah.
So, Alan, what is your ascendant? And I'll kind of touch on that for you since you're dedicated, always here. And I know that you were one that had questions last time, like on how the chart ruler works. So if you want to give me your ascendant, I will do a special, and what house it's in. I'll do a little special explanation for you on that.
Should we move on to the next while we wait?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Taurus and Libra rising. So these two are Venus ruled. So when you have a rising and the beautiful planet of Venus shows up, it really it gives you this like beautiful aesthetic, you know, and that's always nice. Unless you have Venus in like the 6th house, and then it's like very crucial and you know, challenging. So for this one, obviously you can see where the rising starts and kind of determine what sign that's in. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to go between Taurus and Libra or any other of the other ones that are have 2 signs attached to the ruler. But so if you have Venus in the 2nd house, which let's see here, yeah, it's possible. So if you have a Taurus ascendant, and you could have Venus in the 2nd house, and this one is very you know, you have a way of attracting possessions. You're probably very beautiful individual. I mean, Taurus energy is very beautiful, feminine, divine, that kind of energy. And that's probably a theme of your life is really working towards possessions, being you know, very persistent, making sure that, you know, you probably love food. There's probably some, you know, foodie things in there because Taurus, you know, they love comfort, and food is very comforting for them. And when you have a Venus, you know, or if your Venus is in the 2nd house, it's very strong. It's very because Taurus rules the 2nd house, right? So it's kind of like it makes it just a good placement. It magnifies the Venus, makes it very loud in your chart. My husband is a Gemini, but his Taurus is in the 2nd house, or his Venus is in Taurus in the 2nd house, and it's the loudest thing in his chart. It is the most dominant planet in his chart. And we're going to eventually go to where we're looking at dominance in your chart of the signs and planets, and that is his. His is Venus dominant and Taurus in the 2nd house, and is great until you want to move really fast, and it's not so great. But he always feeds me, and I'm grateful for that.
That's the best part.
There is that. So, and then if you have a Libra ascendant, say, you know, your Venus is in the 7th house, which is, you know, Libra ruled house, or, you know, 7th house is all about Libra energy. And so when your Venus is there, it makes you more social, more fun, more, you know, flirty. Relationships probably come very easily to you. You could probably be in like 5 relationships at once, and it'd be easy. I could never do that. I never understand how people cheat, especially with multiple people, because I'm like, how do you have the time? Like, that seems like one person is a lot of effort for me. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I've dated a few couple, but you know,
okay. I've had a few margaritas. Let me tell you how it works.
Here's the 411.
I'm not a cheater. However, I like things in direct, clear, concise things. And if someone isn't meeting the needs on the agreement we've met, then the contract can change. And that is it.
Capricorn thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah, if you're not meeting me contractually, then I will cheat on you. Probably, maybe.
Probably won't work out. But no, I'm not even saying like dating multiple people, because I get that can happen. I'm talking about people that are trying to keep relationships separate and secret. Like, that just seems like a lot of energy. And I also don't think that my anxiety, I mean, I don't even have anxiety, but I think that would cause me such anxiety that I'm like, I couldn't do it. But if you're out there and you achieve those things and that works for you, flows for you, this is probably a placement that you might have, because they are very They're very good with people, and they're very social. And anytime you have Venus in the 7th house, when your ascendant is in Libra, it just kind of gives you that aesthetic. And so that's kind of the house that it's rolled in back to. If your Venus is in the 1st house, that can be a little more challenging because it is in the opposite house of where it likes to reside. So sweet little beautiful Venus over here in the aggressive war zone, because the 1st house is ruled by Aries war. I mean, it you can see where it can be very conflicting in the sense of they're just very different energies.
Yeah, definitely.
Gemini and Virgo, these little rulers. So the chart ruler, if you have a Gemini rising or a Virgo rising, your chart ruler is Mercury. You probably talk a lot. You probably think a lot. You probably are so quick and witty with it that it just like no one can get one up on you. So again, it depends on where these are in your chart. So if you're a Gemini rising and your Mercury is in the 3rd house, it's magnified there. It's loud. You're very loud. You're very confident. Siblings could be very positive, or depending on other aspects in your chart, can be very can cause a lot of conflict and be a huge issue in your life. But mostly, I would say thinking positively and how your other aspects work with this. This would give someone just a very mentally intellectual individual that just can like snap at people quickly, and they come off that way. You meet people at the party and you're like, damn, you're smart, like you're quick, and you're, this is that kind of energy. Whereas Virgo, if you're a Virgo rising and your Mercury is in the 6th house, then I mean it's still the same thing. You still have that quick wittiness, but it's not as friendly. You're more this gives you more of a really organized, structured, analytical way of thinking, but it's not as social as like a Gemini Mercury in the 3rd house. It's just not as social. It's more introverted, and they kind of think more and not so much outwardly, more inward.
So one last thing I wanted to say. So if you're looking at astro.com or any of your websites or whatever it is, it's the rising sign is your AC ascendant. So look for that. And then let's move from there.
At this point, and you can't find the ascendant, we should definitely get you back to the first 40 episodes before, because we explain all of that. But that's good to know. It's the beginning of time for you.
Yeah.
When you popped out and the first breath of air
popped out. Got a visual on that one. Thank you.
Climbed out of your vagina.
I should not have had margaritas before this. This is a dangerous new time for me.
Hey, I love this. I love it. It's a new year. It's a new year, girl. And you're in Mexico again. You should be. All right. So this one is going to be a more emotional placement. So if you're a Cancer rising, look at where your moon is in your chart. If your moon is in the 4th house, it really accentuates this presence of the moon. And the moon in all of us is hidden. No one acts like their moon sign. It's the hidden version of yourself. It's the little kid inside of you. And so we may hide this about ourselves, but it also can reflect in other ways. Like I think of an artist, for instance, like someone who is very creative. Say you have a Cancer rising and your moon is in the 4th house, or even the 5th house. The 5th house, I'm going to throw this example in there. If you have your moon in the 5th house, you may emotionally draw or emotionally write and really express these emotions in different ways. And again, it can be, and we've all gone through the houses, so we're pretty familiar with what each house kind of signifies. Whether your moon be in the 10th house of career, you may have a job that requires a lot of emotion. Or the 11th house, you may be the emotional friend, like this. And it doesn't mean that you're emotional all the time. It just means the way that you interact, depending on what house it's in, the way that you interact and the theme of your life is going to be based around how you feel. Maybe counseling, like say your moon is in the 6th house and you are a counselor, and that kind of signifies what area of the your chart ruler where it's really shining and where it's showing up, because the moon is hidden, so it's not like it's not going to be obvious. It's not going to be like Leo, like I'm out here tap dancing and this is how I make a living. It's going to be hidden. It's going to be more depth, and it's going to be more feelings, because the Cancer rising is feelings and the moon is all about the feelings, and together it just makes for an emotional, creative person. And I actually know a Cancer rising, and she's very poetic, very artsy, like eccentric, eclectic is kind of how I would describe her. Really dope chick, and she's Cancer sun too. But I just think of her too. I'm like, man, I wonder where her moon is. I have her chart actually. I'm gonna look at it later. Like, actually, I don't know why I'm questioning this. I know I have her chart. Just haven't looked at it in the wrong time. So yeah, Cancer rising. Always good to have in your corner. Making me crabby, so but other than that. All right, Leo rising. This is our star of the show over here. Where is your sun at? Your sun's in the 5th house, right?
Yeah.
Perfect for tonight. So a Leo rising with the sun in the 5th house, they're fun. They love to have fun. They enjoy having fun. And I would say, like, I know you've had like ups and downs throughout your life, but I would say ultimately you're chasing fun, and you are having fun in a serious way, because you have that Capricorn in there that kind of brings it down a little bit, but a little buzzkill.
It really is a buzzkill, that whole Capricorn energy. I'm not gonna lie. I do enjoy my Leo and my Libra energy.
Yes, those are lighter. They're more fun. So if you have a Leo rising, you're gonna look for where the sun is in your chart. If your sun is in the 1st house, this is gonna speak really loud. It's kind of like Aries, how even though Leo, the sun doesn't rule the 1st house, but doesn't rule anything. It can be anywhere. So, but it does the 5th house. But in the 1st house, when you have a Leo rising and a Leo sun, obviously the rising and the sun are right by each other. It just kind of makes a personality that's big and that's bold, and that just very just fun and like fiery and confident. So that's a really good placement to have. Now, if you have your Leo rising and your sun is in the 5th house, that it's ruled by the 5th house, so it does magnify it. It does give it. We talk about Leos being like the spotlight and all of that, but Leo needs to get more credit for being a fixed sign and being very responsible. Like, they are a very responsible sign. They may not always, depending on other aspects, but typically if you think of Leo, the lion, taking care of the pride, making sure everyone's safe. Like, I mean, I don't even think the male lions hunt. I think the women do that. So they're just, there to.
How surprising.
I'm pretty sure they don't. I've been watching a lot of nature shows with Salem, so I feel like I saw that not too long ago. But, it's like, it's really, they don't get enough credit for being protectors and being strong and consistent, because they are fixed. I know a lot of Leos that don't like to travel, like sons or Leo sons, but I'm not saying this is the case for
wow,
not you, but I mean,
yeah, no.
They like to be grounded, and they like to be in their area, and they don't really care too much for change.
Oh, wow.
And movement. So sometimes this can kind of show up there, but mostly just more fun. This is also a placement for children. If you choose to have children, you're probably fun, loving, and great with kids, and super like, what's the word? I don't want to say artsy. It's not artsy. It could be artsy, but animated and just very like, a lot of energy. So you have a Leo rising. Look to where your sun is in your chart. If your sun is in the 10th house and you have a Leo rising, you probably will be the CEO of that company before you know it, because they climb ladders, they work hard. Again, consistent. They have this like consistency to them, and they used to be. This has been a while since I've researched this, but I'm pretty sure Leo is the 3rd most successful sign. I think Pisces was up there at number 1. Might have been Leo at number 2. Capricorn, one of them. But it was Pisces, Capricorn, Leo, or Pisces, Leo, Capricorn. But I feel like Capricorn comes in second.
I mean,
that's true. So yeah, Leo rising.
Amazing.
Your hair's not big today, though. I was expecting big Leo hair.
Oh, okay, so I will say I did pay for a blowout the day before I arrived, but between the sleeping and the sweating and the ocean,
Humidity.
this is it. I don't know even if it's humidity because I really haven't even given myself to a chance to let my hair explore the humidity.
That's why you're so good, dude. You just show up. You don't have to do anything. You just put your hair.
I was literally in the hot tub and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta go. I was with a bunch of Canadians and I was like, and they're like, what's your live stream? I was like, Academy of Logical Light, bye.
Gotta go with you later.
And they're like, astrology, and I was like, I can't sit around and wait to explain more. I swear I'm a practical person.
I love it. You are. Okay, Sagittarius. Again, my favorite. If you have a Sagittarius rising, your ruler is Jupiter. And if you have your Jupiter in the 11th house, which is the house that it typically like the ruler of the 11th house, it brings you abundance and these extra things with friendships, with community. I think these people are very content with who they are because Sagittarius rising ultimately is a positive, positive influence. And then if you have your Jupiter in the 11th house, it just magnifies that positivity. You're very positive. You see things in a very full glass, not even half full. It's probably half full, but with some humidity, it might be more. I don't know. But these people are just very optimistic, very, that's just how they view the world. Mine, I'll just share in case you have Jupiter in the 2nd house. You have luck in like possessions and how you possess things, abundance in things. The direction of your life is going to be things, consistency, snacks. 2nd house is a snack house. But no, that's not really as true. But I do find abundance in things. I get lucky in things. I make money in weird ways because mine is also an Aquarius, so it makes it fun and weird how I make money. But you can see that the theme of my life is always weird, different ways to make money ultimately. And also by doing weird things and being in the 2nd house, it shows that it gives me this confidence to be eccentric. I've always been the weird kid, always from day one, and I've never felt any kind of way about it. Like I'm just like, I'm weird, it's cool, like it's fine. Like, and some people like take that to heart or they whatever, but
I love being the
weird kid. So Sagittarius rising with an Aquarius Jupiter. Can't say that it's like one of my favorite things. So yeah, you just have a positive, really overly positive perspective. Wherever your Jupiter is, it's going to magnify that. And that's going to be a huge highlight of your life, wherever Jupiter lands in your chart. So look for Jupiter, look at the house that it's in, look at the sign that it's in, study that. Are there other planets by it that it can magnify, make those planets really lucky or not, depending on if they, conjunct in a good way. So
that makes sense.
Capricorn.
I got a lot of Capricorn rising friends in my group.
Really? I mean, this one is, I think that it gives you a really responsible nature. It makes you very reliable. But it is ruled by Saturn. So when you have a Capricorn rising, you're going to look at where Saturn is in your chart. And I feel like Capricorn rising people, they tend to go through so much. And I don't know about your friends, but depending on, how their chart works, how it all aligns, it can be very difficult, or it can be a lot of things they just really overcome and have this kind of knack for just overcoming the shit. And maybe they get used to it. Maybe they evolve through time and they just get better at it. But it is more of a difficult placement. It's not. So Chani, is that her name? Chani Nichols? She's an astrologer.
Oh, Chani?
Chani? Oh, yeah, I'm probably slaughtering her name. Chani, she had a baby, and she's like, my baby had the ascendant that I didn't want, but that's the universe showing me. And I get that because I had a Pisces, and Lord knows. And I did not want a Pisces. But I'm like, I wonder if her kid, I want to know. I've Googled it and researched it for so long. I can't find anything. I'm about to message her and be like, I know you don't know me, and you don't have to tell me anything about your birth chart or your babies, but is it a Capricorn rising? I need to know. Because I feel like
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my kid to have a Capricorn rising.
She's like, as a mother.
As a mother, you don't want your kids to go through a bunch of things, especially a Capricorn rising with Saturn in the 8th house. That is hard. Or the 12th, like that's a hard one. Like my heart goes out to those people. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like there's so many interpretations in the way that the chart works. It doesn't have to be death, and it doesn't have to be loss. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom, which is where I feel like astrology or astrologers, our heads go there when we have kids, and we're like, oh God, I have 2 kids with a Scorpio moon, and I think I'm a really good mom, but the Scorpio moon says otherwise. So,
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we've communicated about things, and I didn't know certain things about emotional abandonment was different than actually, I've never abandoned my kids, but I emotionally, maybe not, I'm not an emotional person. So that's a whole nother thing to talk about. But if you have a Capricorn rising, your rule, the rising chart ruler is Saturn. You need to look at where Saturn is in your chart, which house, which sign, combine those energies, study that. Again, look at what's around there. If there's any close signs nearby, look at the oppositions, look at the ones that square at the top and the bottom or the sides, because, they're not far from it. But just see what you got going on with your Saturn, because it's going to be a huge indicator of how your life goes, and it's probably a lot of lessons. Saturn loves to teach us. You're probably very disciplined is the best way to describe this.
I think this is why I like my Capricorn risings and why I like people who have a lot of Virgo placements, because as much as I love to party, I also love the people who like discipline, square boxes, like everything nice, tidy, neat. Mm-hmm. But you force that through hardship. So I can relate to you. This is why these are my friends.
100%. I love it.
This is a hilarious one.
Do you want to tell your spill on this one?
Okay, so I'm literally texting Amanda while I'm doing this, and she just landed. So Aquarius rising is Amanda's chart, and as I did a deep dive, I found out the Aquarius risings are a little bit. Can you hear my beeping? I'm so sorry if you can. Are you hearing my message notification? Okay, cool.
I don't think so. I don't hear it.
Aquarius risings, what I realized, are like the bad puppies who know they're bad, but are excited about it. And they're like, I don't know how to explain. They're like bad puppies and they like it. That's it.
Yes. No, 100%. But they're also cute. They probably have big eyes. Yeah. Big, sad, oh, was it me? Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends with Aquarius rising. My daughter is Aquarius rising. Let me tell you, she's 10 months old, but she is a fiery little shat. And I definitely look at her stuff. But Aquarius risings are friendly, but they're also rebellious. They're naturally going against the grain. They're going against the flow. Like the river is flowing and they're the fish that swim up, because they do not like to go with the flow. They like to be different. They love to be eccentric. And so when you look at your chart ruler, you look at Uranus, or if you look at, traditionally you can look at Saturn. It really depends on which system you use, which one you prefer. But if you look at Uranus in your chart, which house it's in, what sign it's in, how does that, is that a major theme in your life? Do you find being rebellious? I think of people that fight, for animals. They go out and they advocate for them, and they're out there on the front lines, people that spread religion in other countries. I think that's crazy, but they're out there doing, and they're putting their life on the lines for these things. These are the people that are brave. And depending on what house that's in and what signs that in, that could very much be your personality, because it does give you this edge. It gives you this rebellion. It gives you this fire, but not like a fire sign, not like an energetic, it's more of a internal, no, we need world peace and we're going to achieve it, and we'll burn down the building until, now I'm using fire analogies, but, burn down the building until we get it, because they have that kind of passion in them. So I always appreciate that. So
yeah, I actually like that. Okay, even if you don't have any fire in your chart, but we see an Aquarius rising that just changes everything. So this is these sorts of things you have to pay attention to, and I really like that.
Yeah, and what they do with it, look at where the Uranus is in the chart and what house, and it's going to be huge. 9th house, Uranus and Aquarius in the 9th house. which it wouldn't be possible because if they have an ascendant rising, there's no way. But Sagittarius, something. There could be something there in the ninth house that really gives them this power to go. So, all right. Pisces rising is going to be Neptune. You're going to look at Neptune, traditionally Jupiter. So again, just depending on how you look at that or what you want to look at, whichever one resonates more with you. Pisces rising, we talked about this last week. They're very sweet. They're very kind. They can be naive and gullible. Look at where your Neptune is in your chart because, this can be a huge indicator of, are you that gullible, or do you kind of have a nice little edge to you that you actually don't fall for the BS? So I would say if you're Pisces rising and you have a Capricorn Neptune, you're less likely to going to be as full because Capricorn, they catch on to that shit. Same with Scorpio, same with Virgo. So if you have a Scorpio Neptune or a Virgo Neptune, those are going to be, Neptunes that are going to hone into things a little differently. It might also kind of protect your innocent, naive way about you, and really make you one of those people that are like, no, I don't so much think that's right or something. So depending, or you could have a Neptune in Pisces and be really screwed. So if Pisces rising and Neptune, I'd say in the 12th house and it being in Pisces, I'm just going to say that person just gets fooled a lot.
Yeah, gullible.
That could be really
That's a word that was like really presented to me at such a young age. I really didn't understand anything about it. My dad was like, "Gullible's written on the ceiling for you," and I was like, ugh. But at the same time, I believed him because he's a person I trust. But the second time, I started realizing like people lie.
People have their own perceptions of you. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's reality for you. Like people think a lot of things about me when I was growing up. And I was like, I wasn't really like that. Like, you may have thought that, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So be careful of people that try to tell you what you are, especially if you don't feel that. Like, you need to hone in on that and watch what those people are projecting, because there's obviously something in them that I think they're projecting.
I think this is like a really good part of like 2024 to realize like, let's start observing people before we interact with them.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm looking for a lot more like energy leaks this year.
Boundaries are important, and I feel like people are just starting to get it. Like I've had so many people, there was this post about this girl. It's on one of my astrology things, and she's like, this guy keeps getting mad at me because I keep showing up at his house, and we're all like, are you like letting him know you're showing up? She's like, no, but I just come over and I just like get something to eat and hang out, and everyone's like, you're not respecting his boundaries. Pisces. I'm not saying all Pisces are like that, but she was a Pisces. And we're all like, what? We need to know your birth chart.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, where are your Taurus placements?
Yeah, there was a lot of water in there. There was a lot of, but it's like you have to respect people's boundaries. Like, I do not like when people show up at my house. Like every once in a while, surprise me. That's great. It's good to see you. Stay for a minute. Be gone. But like to show up constantly, just be like, oh hey, I'm here for snacks and hang out. Like no.
It's a little cringy for sure. Yeah. I think this is also really as much as like I know I'm respecting my own personal boundaries. I think this is an important year for people who have those placements to realize just because you're like, oh yeah, I'm so grateful I can have this relationship with someone that looks like this, but like when's the last time you asked them if that's still okay?
Yeah. And maybe they didn't care in the beginning and then they or
I
like
would, yes. Yeah, that is something I want to like build on. I was okay with it at the beginning, but now I'm questioning.
I'm not so sure. And another thing people need to realize is when someone tells you, I don't know where we're going off on this tangent, must need to be said for somebody, but when somebody tells you, hey, I don't like when you do this, maybe it's like, hey, I know in the beginning we did this, but it's starting to kind of bug me. If you take that personal and you turn around and you're like, oh, well, we did this in the beginning or whatever, you're the problem. You're reacting and you're no longer letting that person feel safe to express themselves, and shame on you, and you're the problem. Period. Mic drop.
Thank you. Thank you. This is all I needed to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we've come to the end.
The
Do you
end.
have anything to say about retrogrades with any of the ascendants in your charts?
I mean, anytime there's a retrograde, it's just like shit goes backwards. That's literally what a retrograde is. And so when you think of it in terms of like shit going backwards, it's like it just doesn't work out or it doesn't go as planned. Like you have to be I think mutable signs have it the best because they can pick up and flow with the flow, right? Like, oh, shit's not working out, but we'll just go this direction. And if you don't know what mutable sign is, that's Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. You guys are quick on your feet when shift changes, you're fine with it. Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, you might have a little bit more of a struggle with it. Not much though, because cardinal signs are pretty easy too, but maybe a little harder. Obviously harder than immutable. And then you pick signs, you guys are gonna have to evolve through that because it's hard as hell when something changes or doesn't go your way. And these are the Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius types. You guys just gotta learn how to flow because when things are in retrograde, depending on your sign and what's in retrograde, because it all rules different areas of our lives. You just gotta go with the flow and you gotta accept things for what they are and know that everything isn't gonna go as planned. But like, why would you want everything to go as planned? Because then what's the fun in like trying to think outside of the box or figure whatever you need to figure out? It's like it takes that away from you. It robs you of that opportunity. So that's how you really need to look at it when shit's not working out. So I appreciate retrograde. It's always shown me things. This last year, Venus retrograde really was the fucking worst, but it showed me a lot. It taught me a lot, and I'm grateful for that. So
yeah, can confirm.
Yours was, what was it, Saturn? No, was it Saturn? Neptune. It was Neptune. That's what yours was.
Yeah, my Neptune was
the illusion.
Yeah, the Venus retrograde hit me hard.
Yeah, but we're out of it. 2024 is looking good.
No Venus retrogrades for 2024. That's huge.
And aren't we entering into Aquarius?
We're going into the age of Aquarius, which is like the golden age. There's going to be so much information coming out, but also we're coming into a space where there's not even one single planet in retrograde. It's going to be everything is direct, very clear.
This is going to be a big year. I know that there's things coming in the universe when you look at it from an astrological point of view. I know there are things coming, and I never do doom and gloom. Like people are like, oh, I want to know, and I never tell them, like, no, you have to wait. I don't look too far into it. I can just see the different patterns that are happening and things that are, transiting. And yeah, I mean, but it's all for the benefit of mankind, and I know that. And so if that's what it is,
yeah. 100%. Oh, this is this is the part that you told me, so I'll let you explain it.
So, what is this?
The life lessons.
Take a look. Oh, just that which house your chart ruler is in. If you want to get deeper, follow the sign, follow the ruler, the planet, look at the house. Your first house ruler is the main theme of your life. So it's going to be wherever we just went through all of them. So if wherever yours shows up in which house, I've gone over the houses every week. The first house is self. The second house is possessions. The third house is communication, can be siblings. Fourth house is home. Fifth house is play, children, creativity. Sixth house is work, daily routines, mental health. Seventh house is relationships, partnerships, contracts. Eighth house is death, transformation, sex. And there was something else I was going to say, like rebirth. That's another one on the 8th house that I don't put in there a lot that I need to start making sure to add in there. The 9th house is going to be travel, religions. And it doesn't have to be any religion. It could be any sort of community of spiritual beliefs, religion, however you want to look at it. It's also education, like higher education, philosophy, things of that nature. 10th house, career, public role, your but your reputation and how you achieve things in life. The 11th house is friendships, humanitarian, community, doing better for the community. And the 12th is spiritual, self-undoing sometimes, but I mean, we have to all self-undo every once in a while to put back together. So But very spiritual, very kind, genuine goodness in the 12th house. So those are all the themes. You know, you can look at good and bad and whatever. I gave you all the goods. But look at where that chart ruler shows up in your life and think about, is this the main theme? Like 6th house, if you're a nurse and your chart ruler sign is there and it's in a very a tentative sign, say like Libra, Pisces, maybe even Virgo, because Virgos are very, I don't want to say nurturing, but they are caregivers. They can be caregivers. So look at, you know, different houses, what the sign is, research those energies yourself. Look at what they are. Look at the house, put it all together and let us know like what you think and how it relates to you, because we, you know, we'd love to hear feedback.
100%. And also, like, if you put it in the comments, like, Elle can give you some insight, which is pretty fucking dope because we're fucking doing this. But also, we're going to go deeper into house rulers. Is that the right terminology? Yes. So house rulers are coming next. So we're going to go dive deep into this next.
Yeah. So we'll have, and when we say house rulers, we're going to teach this next week. We're going to explain what a house ruler is, where it starts, where it ends. Can be any sign, any house. You know, your ascendant is really what starts off your whole chart, and it's the beginning of it all. So we'll just go through that and teach you how to read it, how to figure it out. Whether you have a lot of planets stellium in one house and you have none in the next, I mean, that means something. That signifies something. So
yeah, I think that's a really important one too. Is like what you were kind of mentioning is like literally as we're going through, looking at the houses that don't have any like perceivable information, we're going to figure that out.
Yeah. And it's
a big deal.
Oh, I don't have anything there. It doesn't mean anything. It still means something. You still have a house ruler. So
100%. So that's coming next week.
Next Monday.
Yay. Well, thank you, Elle.
Fun in Mexico. I'm so jealous.
Thank you.
I'm so happy.
I will probably be here for the next week, and I have not designed or put any information together, but I will do that.
I mean, if I have to speak and talk about it, I mean, because it is easy to kind of go all over the place and maybe do the content after. I don't know. I'll stay in suit. If you want to put something together, I will follow the slides per usual.
I got you. I got you. We'll put this together. We're going to make it work.
Yes, I love it. We'll have so much fun and be safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you guys next Monday. House rulers. If you don't feel caught up, please watch all the previous videos as many times as you can until you feel confident enough. But like we've given you so much information, and if you have any questions, like do not hesitate to ask us any more questions. Like we want to get you guys all on the same page, and we want to empower you with the birth chart information.
We got you.